Did Neville actually fulfill the prophecy? Hey, brother! The wizarding world is chock full of unexpected twists and turns. It's Quirrell, not Snape, trying to steal the stone. It's Ginny Weasley, indirectly behind the scenes, reopening the Chamber of Secrets. Sirius Black isn't the mass murderer he's believed to be. Mad Eye is the imposter, and Snape is a good guy?
How could I be so stupid?
But almost nothing stands out more to me than the other person to whom the prophecy may have referred. Neville Eugene Longbottom. I mean, I don't actually know his middle name, but it's probably Eugene, right?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
I'm okay. Why is it always me?
Middle names aside, it's not that the other potential candidate for the Chosen One reveal comes with the same amount of flourish as the rest, nor is it the central plot point to the overall plot of any one installment in the saga. It's just kind of unexpected when you learn it, oh yeah, also Neville? All right. But the thing is, Harry shows up as a bit of an outsider, having no clue of his own importance, but goes on to make a splash right away on the Quidditch pitch, winning with house points and the protection of the Philosopher's Stone. Meanwhile, Neville loses his toad, Trevor, breaks his wrist, loses a fight, and maybe worst of all, is a bit of a gossip?
Fatty Patel said that she wouldn't come out of the girls' bathroom. She said that she'd been in there all afternoon, crying.
But you know what? While Harry, Ron, and Hermione tend to get the lion's share of the credit for winning the House Cup at the end of the year, who really gets the final point that pushes Gryffindor over the top? Yeah, that's right. It's not Harry, the Chosen One Potter.
Neville Longbottom.
And it's not the only time Neville pulls out the rug from Harry right at the finish line either. And I'm not talking about House Cup here. I'm talking big stakes. I'm talking prophecy. I'm talking Chosen One.
I am the Chosen One.
Oh, that's what you think, Harry. That's what you think.
Eugene.
Also, before we begin, I just want to give a huge shout out to Tony Winship815 for suggesting this theory in the comments of one of our previous videos. We read it and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. So if you have any theories, leave them down below. Or better yet, you can go to our Patreon and join our Discord server, and that's a much better way to just get right in front of us. Oh, the prophecy. The thing that sets the entire plot in motion in Harry Potter. First ever heard by Snape as it was being made by Trelawney to Dumbledore, it lays out the requirements for the man who has the only chance of defeating the Dark Lord. Let's review, shall we? The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches, born to those who have thrice defied him, born as the 7th month dies, and the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not, and neither must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord will be born as the 7th month dies! And by the time Harry finally hears the prophecy at the end of Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore is more than certain that the prophecy is in fact about Harry. And with good reason, it has to be said, because he does fit all of the requirements. Harry was born to parents who have thrice defied Voldemort, situations I would love to have more information about if they ever decide to do a Marauders series or something, hint, hint. Harry was also born as the 7th month died on July 31st, and Voldemort has marked him as his equal, quite literally marking him with the lightning bolt scar on his forehead, a souvenir of the night he was attacked as a baby. But then Dumbledore reveals that there was another boy the prophecy could have meant. The odd thing is, Harry, he said softly, that it may not have meant you at all. Sybil's prophecy could have applied to 2 wizard boys. One, of course, was you. The other was Neville Longbottom. Order of the Phoenix, chapter 37. Counseled to myself. Harry then argues that attacking him as a baby was a terrible reasoning, and that Voldemort should have waited for them to grow up and see which one was more dangerous. A move Dumbledore agrees would have been wiser, and yet he chose Harry anyway. Dumbledore argues that this is because Harry is half-blood, like Voldemort, unlike Neville, who was a pureblood. This suggests that Voldemort knew he had a choice and made it to kill Harry. And the fact that he had a choice and then chose one feels very relevant because the prophecy states that Voldemort will mark him as his equal. So if you're Dumbledore and Voldemort is coming back and you're the only one who knows about the prophecy, like, that's all you really have to work with, and you gotta do something. And to be fair, not only does Harry fill all the requirements, he also shares a piece of Voldemort's soul, can talk with snakes, has a twin core with Voldemort, and his blood eventually runs in Voldemort's veins, so yeah, they've got a pretty strong connection. Or as Dumbledore says, having ensured this twofold connection, having wrapped your destinies together more securely than ever two wizards were joined in history, Voldemort proceeded to attack you with a wand that shared a core with yours. And that's all good and well for Harry, who clearly plays a huge role in the defeat and ultimate downfall of Voldemort. But I think you will find that most of his accolades actually have nothing to do with actually fulfilling the terms of the prophecy. Like, yes, it is super impressive that he kills the basilisk and destroys the diary and fights off the Dementors and fights off Voldemort in the graveyard, etc., etc. But sharing a soul and a wand core and being super interwoven and all that is actually not mentioned in fulfilling the prophecy or being the chosen one, which wouldn't really matter except there is another boy who also fills all the requirements.
Why is it always me?
Joe, we're gonna take a brief pause right there to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Pro tip, you guys, whether it's trying out therapy, a new exercise regime, or opening a pickle jar, the biggest obstacle is the same: breaking the seal. And when it comes to therapy in particular, it seems like many people at their core believe it could help, but one thing in particular can often stand in their way: stigma. BetterHelp's 2026 State of Stigma report surveyed 2,000 Americans and revealed that 85% of Americans believe getting support is wise, yet 74% say society discourages people from doing so. And while I know the stigma exists, I was also blown away how quickly it melted away after I started my own sessions. Like, it's so easy to think that therapy is only for major trauma, and while it is a highly valuable tool when processing that tier of emotions, it's also really beneficial for just everyday problem and plights as well. Like, it's not feeling like this big thing. If anything, it's very approachable, and having someone who is unbiased and there to talk, listen, or both changes the way you tackle and process your mental load. So don't let stigma stand in the way of support. Start therapy with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/super. That's betterhelp.com/super. Neville, just like Harry, is born to parents who have thrice defied Voldemort. Situations I would love to have more information about if they ever decided to do a Marauder series. Hint, hint. And he is born at the end of July on the 30th rather than the 31st, so not quite as much as the month dies as Harry, but Dumbledore seems to think it counts, which is good enough for me. Though, to be doubly fair, Dumbledore also points out that not all of the prophecies in the Hall come to fruition anyway. The only real thing binding Harry to it is that Voldemort places stock in it, so if Harry does nothing, Voldemort will kill him anyway, so his choices are limited: to die or to fight. But here's where things get tricky, because the next part of the prophecy is where it says that Voldemort will mark him as his equal, and Voldemort believes he set the prophecy into motion the night of the attack of the Potters in Godric's Hollow. But here's the thing: just because that's what Voldemort thinks doesn't exactly make it so. But also, just because the prophecy doesn't have to unfold doesn't mean it doesn't. So the question is, does Voldemort ever mark Neville as his equal? And the answer is yes, and I dare say even more so than Harry. The issue, as it pertains to like telling the whole story, is that it doesn't happen until right at the very end, but that really doesn't matter prophecy-wise. No one says when the prophecy had to come true. It doesn't have to have happened when they were a baby. It's like Harry argued. He should have waited until they grew up. The moment in question is after Harry has been supposedly defeated and Voldemort is marching the conquering army to Hogwarts to show off and claim victory. But Neville, unable to stand it, charges Voldemort alone before getting blasted aside. Voldemort finds this very amusing and advances on Neville, summoning the Sorting Hat from Dumbledore's office, and listen to what he says. "But you are a pureblood, aren't you, my brave boy?" Voldemort asked Neville, who stood facing him, his empty hands curled into fists. "So what if I am?" said Neville, loudly. "You show spirit and bravery, and you come of noble stock. You will make a very valuable Death Eater. We need your kind, Neville Longbottom." Now, Neville obviously refuses, so Voldemort uses him as an example and says the following. "There will be no more sorting at Hogwarts School. There will be no more houses. The emblem, shield, and colors of my noble ancestor, Salazar Slytherin, will suffice for everyone. Won't they, Neville Longbottom?" You see what happened there? First, he declares that Neville would be a good Death Eater, and then proclaims there is no need to sort. We are now, in a way, all joined together, all equal as Slytherins. He marks Neville as an equal and uses him as the example, and then even truly marks him physically when he lights the hat on fire on his head. So again, Voldemort might choose Harry as a baby. He might think he's fulfilling the terms of the prophecy by killing him, but just because he thinks it doesn't mean it's true. The prophecy can and does work outside of his control for the entire series. Because unbeknownst to him, and in the most Voldemort way possible, he names and marks Neville, the boy born at the end of July to parents who have thrice defied him, as his equal, and literally moments later, as if waiting to be fulfilled until the moment the terms have been complete, look what happens. Harry pulled the invisibility cloak from inside his robes, swung it over himself, and sprang to his feet as Neville moved too. In one swift, fluid motion, Neville broke free of the bodybind curse upon him. The flaming hat fell off him, and he drew from its depths something silver with a glittering ruby handle. The slash of the silver blade could not be heard over the roar of the oncoming crowd, or the sounds of the clashing giants, or of the stampeding centaurs, and yet it seemed to draw every eye. With a single stroke, Neville sliced off the great snake's head, which spun high into the air, gleaming into the light, flooding from the entrance hall. And Voldemort's mouth was open in a scream of fury that nobody could hear, and the snake's body thudded to the ground at his feet.
I am the chosen one.
And yes, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, okay, he kills the snake. Very cool, but that doesn't count as defeating Voldemort. To which I would say, are you reading closely? You are correct, of course, that Harry is the one who faces off against Voldemort in the final duel, after which Voldemort drops dead. However, it is only us calling him Voldemort at this point. From the moment Neville kills Nagini, Harry only refers to him out loud as Tom Riddle.
Come on, Tom. Let's finish this the way we started it.
Not the immortal Dark Lord Voldemort. You don't learn from your mistakes, Riddle, do you? I know things you don't know, Tom Riddle. I know lots of important things that you don't. Want to hear some before you make another big mistake? You never saw Snape cast a Patronus, did you, Riddle? Think and try for some remorse, Riddle. Yeah, it's because the moment Neville kills Nagini, Voldemort stops being immortal, stops being the Dark Lord, and instead becomes once more the very mortal Tom Riddle. So Harry, yes, ultimately defeats Tom Riddle, but Neville is the one who lands the final blow on what makes Voldemort Voldemort, his Horcruxes and his immortality. He is no longer the Dark Lord. He's now nothing more than a man. And if you want to get technical, and you know I do, the prophecy also states that one must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. I do a lot of weird voices today. And technically, although Voldemort leaves the mortal plane after fighting Harry, he doesn't actually die. He instead ends up here in limbo between life and death, suffering for eternity. And even more technically, Harry does not kill him, but instead the Elder Wand backfires upon himself. Neville, on the other hand, slices that snake's head clean off, swinging a sword with his hands, successfully killing the immortal Dark Lord aspect of Voldemort. Like, do you see what I'm getting at? Both boys fully fill the requirements to be the chosen one. So the question is really, who does it first? And it seems like Neville has a pretty strong case, even though he just barely eked out the requirements in time.
I am the chosen one.
The timing doesn't matter. And in fact, the moment he does it is when it's complete. Dumbledore can obviously only play the game with the pieces on the board, and with Voldemort coming back, he had to do something, and so he trains the most likely candidate based on the knowledge available. And you know what the great part is? That works! Harry doesn't defeat Voldemort because of the prophecy. He beats him because he's a great person who can love, and Dumbledore trains him really well. That can be true, and the prophecy can be talking about Neville. Also, let's just be real here. It is way more fun if the power Voldemort knows not is the power to pull a frickin' sword from a hat and not love. Also, never a bad time to bring up sorting hat, sword, in hat. Both Gryffindor artifacts. Coincidence?
I think not.
Guys, thanks as always so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Harry Potter action from us. If you want to see how Harry is actually the Philosopher's Stone, you can check out this video right here. But otherwise, until next time, remember, ducks go in cups.